Let's prepare you for the journey. Head downstairs and follow the waypoint. Continue down and get close to the screen, marked with a green waypoint. Let's begin with your tools. Tools are located at the bottom of the screen in the form of quick access slots. You can select them with the quick access keys. As you can see, the last slot is currently empty. We will now learn how to equip a new tool in that place. Approach the highlighted tool dispenser unit next to you. Dispensers are elements, which are objects you can deploy in the world. For example, chairs, windows, plants or doors are all elements. Some elements, like this dispenser, very good. The dispenser just gave you a new tool that is now stored in your inventory. The inventory is a central interface for managing everything you carry around with you. It contains items like tools, materials, elements or blueprints. For now, locate the repair tool that was just given to you, and simply drag and drop it in. Well done! Note that the inventory does not have an infinite capacity, it is restricted in volume. Thanks to the nanopack technology, this volume is pretty huge. Still, it is better to keep an eye on the size of objects you store. Now, close the inventory by OK. We are now ready to continue downstairs. This time, elevators are connected together via up and down links. Welcome to the main room. You can go back anytime by stepping on the same elevator and pressing the jump key to go up. In front of you is a miniature reproduction of the Ark ship. You can perhaps see the real Ark ship through the windows in the distance. Let's try to also find it on your map. To open the map, press the map key. This is Alioth, the planet on which you currently stand. You can rotate the planet by clicking and dragging it with the mouse. You can also zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. Zoom in until you can clearly see the hexagonal tiling on the planet's surface. Each of these tiles is a territory you can claim. Tiles in red are already claimed. Tiles in purple are non-claimable, and mostly exist around the Ark ship. The Ark ship is represented by a small icon in the center of the purple tiles area. At any time, you can center onto your position on the map by pressing the center icon on the top left. Try it now. You can also create a waypoint anywhere on the surface of the planet. Waypoints are displayed in your HUD so that they are easy to track. To set a waypoint, simply right-click on a point on the map and select Set as Destination. Do this now. Very good. Next, the selector area here allows you to list your constructs, review bookmarks, and see any available warp beacons or other points of interest. In the lower right corner, you can find the list of current objectives in a tutorial, usually with hints on how to achieve them. Close the map to continue. You may have seen on the map that certain territory tiles are claimed. To claim a tile, you must deploy a territory unit on the ground. Let's have a look at one. Follow the waypoint. As you can see, it's quite huge. Once a territory unit is deployed onto a tile, the tile belongs to you. This means that you can start to build constructs on it, you can decide who holds rights to dig the ground, and who can build next to you. Territory units are quite expensive and will probably not be the first thing you deploy on Alioth. Instead, there is a simpler way for you to grab a piece of land. Let's discover this now. Follow the waypoint behind you, and take the elevator at the end of the room. This will take us to the observatory. Welcome to the observatory. From here, you should be able to see Alioth's moons in the sky. One of them is a very special moon, called a sanctuary moon. We will explain what that means, but first, let's try to locate it. Open the map again by pressing the map. The map also contains a solar system view. Click on the system tab. Here you can see all the planets currently accessible in the system. Select Alioth, the planet where you currently are located. As you can see, Alioth has 3 moons. Excellent. Now, good. Now, this twin moon, just like Alioth or any other planet, is covered with tiles that you can claim. A sanctuary moon is a moon where no combat will ever occur, as it is a safe zone. This means that a territory you claim will remain yours forever, and nobody can take your belongings or build anything there without your consent. This is a great way to create a safe haven to store your valuables and build your home. You can claim only 1 tile on a sanctuary moon, and you will need a special sanctuary territory unit for that purpose. You already have 1 in your inventory, so don't worry. Close the map window. Notice how the sanctuary twin moon is now identified by the waypoint in the sky. There is a shuttle service, which you will see later, that can bring you there. Okay, let's get back to the rest of the tutorial. Head down via the nearby elevators. Now is the time to present the key pillar activities that are available for Novians. Each will be presented here quickly, and you will be able to discover more about them via the institutes and their dedicated tutorials later. Follow the waypoint to the mining station first. Mining is how you acquire raw materials, if you don't simply buy them on the markets. Raw materials are located either on the planet's surface, or they can be buried kilometers deep underground. Surface materials have a low value, while more valuable materials, from Tier 1 to Tier 5, are found underground. The surface mining activity is performed using the harvest tool, highlighted in the toolbar below. With the tool equipped, you collect harvestable surface or by targeting them and then clicking. Press the quick access key for this tool to equip it, usually the first in the toolbar. Great. Unfortunately, there are no surface harvestable ores here. To practice, you can access the dedicated tutorial in the Mining Institute. To continue, unequip this tool by pressing the same quick to mine deep underground. First you use the scanner tool highlighted here, which finds available ores in a large radius. Once in close range, the directional detector will help you pinpoint the location of the material. Finally, the highlighted mining tool is used to collect the found material. You'll learn more about these tools in the interactive mining tutorial, located inside the Mining Institute. Now, let's talk about the markets. Approach the waypoint. Markets are an essential part of Novian life. This is where you can sell the materials you mine or create, but also buy anything that you might need. Markets are physically located in the world. They are accessible either via market pod units, like the one in front of you, or via the integrated nanomarket interface. The nanomarket interface allows you to browse markets at a distance, but cannot help you to deposit or recover items that are traded. For that, you will need to directly interact with a market pod. Let's have a quick look at the nanomarket interface. To open it, press the nanomarket key. You can search for an item that you would like to trade by using these search boxes. Nitron is a fuel you will often use and frequently buy. Type nitron in the search box to see the nitron markets. Here are the market orders for nitron. These are all the intentions to buy or sell nitron, by other Novians, on various markets in the solar system. You can pick the cheapest, or the nearest offer, depending on your priorities. You can create your own buy or sell orders, or let the system pick the best offer for you. When interacting with market pods, you can also buy or sell instantly, which is the easiest way to go shopping. You can learn more about this in the dedicated market tutorial. For now, let's close the Okay. Let's now have a look at another important activity, industry. In front of you is an assembly line, one of the many industry unit elements available. These include chemical reactors, glass furnaces, refineries, or smelters. Each industry unit type specializes in certain types of recipes. The assembly line takes ingredients from an entry container, like the one here on the left, and then runs a recipe to craft elements. The elements are stored in the exit container, as seen here on the right, that can be chained as an entry container for another industry unit. The recipes are selected using the industry unit interface. You can learn about that in the dedicated industry tutorial, found at the Industry Institute. Thankfully, entry-level recipes for simple products can be run without an industry unit. For that, you can use your integrated NanoCrafter. First, let's get some ingredients we will need from the nearby dispenser. Approach the dispenser. Excellent. Now, let's open the NanoCrafter by pressing the NanoCrafter key. We are going to craft some fuel. Great. This interface allows you to pick a recipe and run it in the background to produce simple products. On the left is a selection area to pick a recipe. You currently have just a few ingredients. Now click on nitron fuel to select its recipe. This window shows you the Fantastic! Your job is now in the queue and a batch of nitron will be ready in a few seconds. That will be all for this short introduction. There is of course more to know, and you can go to the Industry Institute to go through the specialized tutorials. Let's close this. Okay, now let's learn about building, and how you can use all these materials and elements. This bizarre construction in front of you is called a construct. It is a mix of deployed voxel materials used to sculpt a shape, and deployed elements to make it functional. To create a construct, you start by deploying a core unit, highlighted here. It will create a building zone, within which you will be allowed to build. Core units come in different sizes and specializations: static cores for ground buildings, dynamic cores for ships or anything that moves, and space cores for space stations. Once you have created your building zone, you can start to deploy matter, as voxel honeycomb materials, or voxels for short. You have a large palette of tools and materials to help you sculpt absolutely anything you like, regardless of shape or complexity. Finally, you can add elements to your construct, in the form of engines, doors, lights, fuel tanks, or any of the hundreds of available elements that provide functionality to your builds. Building is a vast subject. It is advised to go through the various building tutorials located inside the Construction Institute. Note that the building you are currently in, as well as all the other buildings outside, are entirely made with the same building tools. As I mentioned, you can also build space or atmospheric ships. Let's have a look at this now. Follow the waypoint to the next. This is a surface speeder, a cheap and convenient ground atmospheric vehicle. It allows you to move around planet surfaces. You'll be gifted one at the end of this tutorial. Everything in this speeder is functional and plays a role in making it work. Let's quickly review its different elements. Here are the hover engines, which help the speeder float above the ground. These extra small atmospheric engines are used for propulsion and moving forward. They require fuel, taken from this atmospheric fuel tank. Adjusters are small elements used to create rotational forces and help balance your ship. You also need brakes, to be able to slow down. And finally, you need a piloting seat to be able to fly it. Activating this piloting seat activates the ship, which is how you take control of it. All these elements are orchestrated via a Lua script that is generated automatically for you. But you can also modify it via a right-click menu on the piloting seat to create absolutely any kind of control you like. Note that piloting in the atmosphere of a planet or in outer space can be very different, and involves different types of engines and design. Gravity may ground you if you have a heavy cargo on a high-gravity planet, while it won't matter in the darkness of space. Piloting is an art, a subtle interplay between your piloting skills and the craftsmanship of the ship designer. You can learn more about piloting in the dedicated tutorials in the Piloting Institute. Piloting is not only about navigating your ship, but will often also involve combat. Look up at the fighter above your head. I've highlighted the weapons that are equipped on this small ship. There are many more types of weapons, ammunition, and damage types. Each has a specific role. This is a small fighter, but you can also build giant battleships with a crew of hundreds of people, each assigned to a particular task. There is much more to discover about combat, so you should definitely visit the Military Institute to know more. Now, let's go to the last station. Organizations are a fundamental part of your social life as a Novian. They are groups that you can join, covering things like nations, corporations, alliances, or even group of pirates. Let's have a quick look at the organization interface. Open it by. As you can expect, you are not part of any organization. You can search through this list, focusing on open organizations, which are recruiting, or sorting by member numbers, name, or language. To apply for an organization, you need to open its details page. Click on the name of any of the listed organizations to open its details page. Is that not what you said?
This time it was. There's been times before where it hasn't been.
In this window, you can see a summary of relevant information regarding this organization. This area will allow you to apply to join this organization, along with a place to write a quick introduction. Joining an organization can be a consideration. You can also decide to create your organization from scratch, even if this is a little bit more advanced. For example, managing an organization involves legates and members, rules, voting, and management of rights. This is something you will discover later. You can now close the organization interface. Excellent. You have covered the basics. Now, let's move to the next step and talk about talents. Follow the waypoint. Open the talent window by pressing the talent key. Talents define your character abilities. They are grouped into categories that are displayed all around your avatar in this window. Here, for example, is the mining and inventory group. Click on it. Excellent. On the each category hosts, talents can be upgraded from level 1 up to level 5 by spending talent points. Each level acquired boosts a certain characteristic, described just below its name. For example, here the nanopack upgrades help to increase the size of the inventory by 200 liters for each talent level acquired. The amount of talent points you currently have is displayed on the top of the screen. Talent points, shown here, accumulate at a slow rate even when you are offline. The Invest Points button allows you to instantly train a particular talent. You need to have enough points for the talent you are aiming for. To accumulate points more quickly, queue a talent. Queuing boosts considerably how quickly you gain talent by increasing the accumulation rate. Let's train the first level of nanopack upgrades. Press the Queue Talent button. As you can see, the selected talent now displays in the queue. You can queue several talents to train one after the other. Note that dependencies between talents might exist, and you should train talents in the right order. See how the acquisition rate is much faster during active learning, when a talent is in a queue. It is a good practice to always have several talents scheduled in the queue, to be able to train them without interruption. Queue talents also train when you are offline. So, make sure to always have a filled queue that spans a long duration. If the queue ends when you are not online, you will fall back to the slow talent point accumulation rate. Take your time to review the existing talents, and think about how you want to plan them out. You can become hyper-specialized, or decide to be a jack of all trades. When you're ready, you can close the talent window. At this point, you may be overwhelmed by the number of interfaces and their shortcuts. Thankfully, you don't have to remember all that. Let's enter into free mouse mode by pressing the menu on the left is a quick access to the interfaces. And since your mouse is now free, you can simply click on them. Note that you can also select the tools in your toolbar, and interact with many more menus and options in this mode. For example, the notification icon in the lower right part of the screen, which you can now access. An excellent reference is the codex. You can browse many topics in the menu here. Normally when you leave the free mouse mode, temporary windows are closed. Not the windowed codex. It can be helpful to pin some help content on the side, while you are performing the actions described in it. For now, we are going to close this window, as we need this. Another source of help are hints. Hints will appear regularly on the right of the screen, depending on your actions. I've triggered a hint for you right now. You can always find them in the hint window, or by pressing the hint key, so you will never miss one. Okay. Now, close the free. Let's discover a great activity that is available to you right from the start. Go through the large exits, down the stairs, to the waypoint. Welcome to the surrogate VR stations. Here you can control a remote robot in VR telepresence. This is a fantastic way to discover other locations and learn about the possibilities offered in this world. Perhaps you can visit a large organization headquarters, or play tourist in extraordinary places. Here is the way it works. You can enter a VR station by activating it. You can then select a destination site, among those that are public and are made accessible to you. You take control of a robot that awaits in a distant pod. Anyone can deploy a pod in their construct and make it public for visitors. However, as a robot, your capacities are limited, so this is just a way to visit an area remotely. It is not a teleport. These are fake stations, you cannot use them. But I will show you the real one on the way out, a bit later. If you look around, you may have noticed those buttons with a question mark on them. They are info. Great. The information closes automatically, or you can close it yourself with a cancel key. Another powerful way to discover things by yourself is to use the helper system. To use it, simply point at anything in the world, or in the user interface, and press the helper key. Try it now on something in the world around you. Good, let's continue. The next important thing to learn about is the notion of rights. Everything you own can be shared with others, but by default are only accessible by you. For example, try to deactivate the highlighted force field on the left. You can do it by pointing at it and pressing the interaction key. You received an action forbidden message, telling you that the owner of this element did not share it with you. This is actually how you can make your construct secure against intruders. Now, in the same way, try to activate the left. Again, you don't have the right to activate it. Now instead, try to activate. This time it worked. You can control the light by pressing this button. To set up an element's rights in a simple way, you can use the right-click menu on an element that you own. Try it on the button. Here, you can access the Share element, or Share Construct options, in the Construct submenu. These will allow you to grant rights to others. You can now close this menu by pressing the Escape key, or simply by clicking outside of it. A much more complex system is available for advanced management. It allows for fine-tuned rights control, in particular for organizations. You can share whole constructs, manage specific types of rights, and create groups of people with certain abilities. If you want to find out more, try the rights management tutorial. Let's move on. Deactivate the force field on your right. Very good. To continue our visit, go down to the lower level, using the elevator at the end of the room. On both sides of this corridor, you will find resurrection nodes. Drawing on the consequences of the Everett interpretation of quantum mechanics, we were able to design a technology that preserves your state of consciousness across multiple realities. We control the multiverse, in order to branch you onto a version of reality where you happen to respawn, here on one of these platforms, whenever you die. So, you cannot really die. There is always a version of the universe in the multiverse where you wake up, here. Beware that when you die, your inventory will not be preserved, so don't take death too lightly. It's important to know that you can craft or buy your own resurrection nodes. You can then install them in your ship or in your home. When respawning, you will always appear at the nearest active resurrection node, so in general you won't always end up here. Beware that when you die, your inventory will not be preserved, so don't. It's important to know. Alright, we are now almost ready to exit the starting hub. The last step is to collect the left and right are demonstration versions of two of the most popular UEF hovercraft speeders. These ground vehicles are extremely efficient to quickly navigate the surface of a planet, and you will need one during the first steps of your journey. Distances are real. Transportation is a necessity. You will need to get a blueprint to acquire these speeders. Each of the highlighted dispensers will grant you the blueprint of the speeder next to them. Get one of them by activating the dispenser. You can pick your favorite, or take them both. The blueprint is now in your inventory. We will run it later. To deploy a blueprint, you have to have all of its components, materials and elements. The dispenser in front of you contains everything you need to. You can also create your own blueprints when you want to save a copy of what you've built. This is also how you can mass produce your creations and sell them. Blueprints are like intellectual property and can become very precious. That being said, this portion of the introduction is finished. Look around you. This room is a small museum showing many elements and materials that you may want to learn about. Press on the info buttons, or use the helper key to know more about everything on display. When you are finished, you can exit through the front door, which is now open. Welcome to the outside world. In front of you is the district center. Let's actually go to the other side. There we will find the district teleporters, the VR stations and the tutorials. Follow the waypoint ahead of you. You can run by pressing the run modifier. You can also sprint at great speed by hovering above the ground thanks to your jetpack. Simply double tap the forward key. Try it now. Very good. Now, let's cross the landing pad. Great, we are now at the district center. Let's have a look at the connected surrogate VR stations, just on the left. I invite you to come back here at the end of this tutorial, and activate any of these surrogate VR stations. Let's now have a look at the district teleporters. Follow the waypoint to the next room. In front of you are teleporters that grant you instant access to any of the 10 districts around the ARC ship. Each of these districts is identical to the one you are currently in, but Novians will start their journey in any one of them at random. You can use these teleporters to quickly reach a friend on another district. Now, follow the waypoint behind you to the Institute teleporter. This teleporter will be activated at the end of this tutorial. If you use it, it will get you to the institutes, which are buildings dedicated to showcase most of the activities available for Novians. Think of them as giant museums. There are institutes about flight, building, community, industry and many other topics, and they are great places to learn. Now, let's head to the other room, dedicated to the interactive tutorials. Follow the waypoint. From this console, you can activate a tutorial selector. Each tutorial teleports you to an interactive VR session where you will learn by practicing. Tutorials comes with a reward if you complete them, and it is strongly encouraged to go through them at least once, especially the market. Finally, let's get to the last step of our introduction, the Twin Moon Shuttle service. Follow the waypoint. Here we are. The button in front of you calls a free Sanctuary Moon Shuttle service. This shuttle will connect you to a similar district on the Sanctuary Twin Moon. Then you can claim a tile for yourself using the Sanctuary Territory unit you collected earlier. At this stage, I'll now put some broad objectives for you in the upper left of the screen. These are suggestions of milestones to follow to properly build up your experience in the world, and they are very much recommended. Feel free to follow these at any time you feel ready, or to bypass them entirely. Check the objectives section of the map for more details on how to complete these objectives. From now on, I'll be much less directive with you on how to do things. The first of these milestones is for you to reach the Sanctuary Twin Moon. You can now use the shuttle service right next to you. Safe travel, Novian. I'll see you there. Welcome on the Twin. Now, your next step is to try to locate a free tile on the map, get there and claim it. Try to find a tile not too far from a market, identified with the M icon. This will be useful later. To help you visualize the boundary of a tile in the 3D world, you can also press the Enhanced Visualization HUD key to toggle this display. Try it now. Excellent, you are now ready to go hunt for your free tile. It's probably also a good time for you to deploy your speeder now, so that you can travel faster. If you want to do so, go in your inventory and double-click on the speeder blueprint.
Alright, folks. Looks like that's the end of the